my channel and welcome if you're new here. Today I'm going to teach you how to make a cup koozie. These are great for mason jars. This is a 16-ounce mason jar. You can use the wide mouth or the regular mouth. They can also work for some medium to go size cups. These are very simple to make and they're also good for scrap fabrics. You need two 6x6 outside fabric and you need two 6x6 lining fabric. You can use the same fabric or you can use different fabric, but these are reversible, so choose whatever you want to choose. So once again, you need two 6x6 inner fabric and two 6x6 outer fabric. You will also need two pieces of insulbright measuring 6x6 as well. You can get the insulbright from Hobby Lobby and maybe any other fabric store. I'm not quite sure, but I know for sure that Hobby Lobby does have insulbright. You can probably also find it on Amazon. Once again, everything is 6x6 and you need two of each thing. So two insulbright, two outer, two inner. The first step is to take your lining fabric and make yourself a 1-inch square, so 1 inch by 1 inch, and you want to put it on the corners, only at the bottom of your lining fabric, so right here in your corners, and you want to cut that out on both sides. Next, take some pins or some clips and put them on your sides and at your bottom. Now you can just go ahead and move this out of the way. Now you want to take your insulbright batting and your main fabric and stack that on top of your insulbright, making sure that it's lined up well. Now this is totally optional. You can take this to the sewing machine and you can quilt it whatever way you want to quilt it. You can do crosshatch, diagonal, horizontal, vertical, whatever you want to do, you can quilt it, or you can just leave it like this if you don't want to quilt it. So go ahead and quilt if you want to, and if you don't, then you can just go ahead and start stacking the rest of it. So then take your other piece of main fabric and put it on top of that face down, making sure right sides are together. If you have a lining fabric that is also right side and wrong side, make sure you put right sides together. This one for me is the same on both sides, but if yours is a right side and a wrong side, always put your right sides together so we can flip it right side out. After this, take your other insulbright fabric and stack that on top, making sure everything is lined up as well as it can be. You can also do a basting stitch if you want, but I'm just gonna go ahead and stack everything. But if you're gonna do a basting stitch, that means that you just take this and then you sew a stitch close to the edge around so your fabric doesn't move, or you can use basting spray, or if you quilted it, it will already be attached to itself, or it will already be attached together. But I'm just gonna stack it and go. But if you want to do a basting stitch, go right ahead and then stack them together like this. Once you have it stacked together, once again take your 1-inch square, or just cut out an inch from the bottom corners, put 1 inch right here and 1 inch right here, and go ahead and cut those out. Once you cut out your 1-inch square from the corners, you just want to take some pins or clips and do the exact same thing that we did with the lining fabric. So put them on the edges, on the sides, and at the bottom. And once you're done with that, you should have your lining fabric and your main fabric with the insulbright, and this is what it should look like. Now we're going to take it to the sewing machine and we're going to sew both of them exactly the same way. So take both of them to the sewing machine. You're going to sew down this side and then stop, and then sew down this side and then stop, and then sew down this side and then stop, making sure that you back stitch when you begin and when you end. But you are going to do that for both your lining fabric and your main fabric. As per usual, at my sewing machine, I use a 3-inch stitch length and I use 4 tension, but you can use whatever works best for you. So like I said, we're just going to sew down the side, stop, sew down the bottom, stop, and sew down the other side and stop for both your lining and your main fabric. I'm using the edge of my presser foot for the seam allowance, but it looks like it's close to 3/8, so try 3/8 seam allowance and that should work for you. So now that the sides are sewn together and the bottom is sewn together, what you want to do is you want to take the bottom and open it up like this. So stretch it out and put your corner to your corner. And then we're going to do a top stitch right along right there for both sides, and you're going to repeat for your lining fabric or your main fabric. So both of them will be sewn like this. So this is what it should be looking like. It is now the shape that it needs to be. This is what this looks like once you sew it together like that. It should be boxed out now for both your main and your lining fabrics. You want to take your lining fabric and you want to flip it right side out, making sure you poke out your edges and your corners. and then you're going to take your lining fabric and you're going to put it into your main fabric, leaving your main fabric wrong side out, so don't flip it. Take your lining fabric and just put it in there, and then take your seams and make sure that they're lining up and put them together, and then take a pin or a clip and clip that, and do that all the way around, but leave a spot about this big so you can flip it right side out. I like to line my seams up and then go around and clip because it makes it a little bit easier to actually make sure it's lining up. And then you can add some clips to indicate where you don't want to sew. So once again, clip it or pin it and leave a spot to flip it right side out, so do not sew right there. So that's a 3/8 seam allowance. Once again, I'm just using the edge of my presser foot. So this is what it's like when you do the top stitch around the rim and then you left your spot open so you can flip it right side out. So just go ahead and just start pulling it right side out. Push it up in there. You can use a tool or your fingers, whatever you have. I mean you have fingers hopefully. And you can just go ahead and push out your corners. And then you want to take your lining fabric and just go ahead and push it in there. And then you want to roll down the fabric on your rim so it's lining up, and you can take some clips and go ahead and clip that if you would like to make sure it's lined up as best as it can be. And you want to pull this opening taut and roll it into itself so you can do a top stitch all the way around and close that hole. Once you got it pinned or clipped and you have your hole tucked in and closed off, you want to take it to your sewing machine and do a top stitch, but making sure that the seam allowance this time is way less than it was before. You want to get it as close to the edge, but not too close to the edge, so you want to make sure you're actually sewing on the fabric and you're actually closing off your hole. But you want to get as close to the edge as you can to make sure that we actually have that hole closed. And that is how you make a cup koozie for a 16-ounce mason jar or some medium to-go cups. So this is what it should be looking like. Hopefully it came out well for you. Once again, these are reversible. So here's the main fabric, but then you can also reverse it if you like this side. Whatever fabric you picked more, it is reversible. And then let's do the mason jar test. Let's make sure it actually fits and works. And it does. Isn't this so cute? These are so quick and easy to make. You can probably whip out a lot of these in a short amount of time. They're also great for some scrap fabric that you might have laying around. These will make a wonderful gift for yourself or to others. And once again, they're just so easy to make. So if you're running low on time, which I know that we are because Christmas is so quickly approaching, these are gonna make a great gift. Once again, this fits a 16-ounce mason jar and some medium to-go cups. This is what the strawberry side looks like. It is so cute. Oh my gosh, I love it. I hope this tutorial was an easy one for you. Go ahead and go make a lot of these. You will make great Christmas gifts. I hope you all have a warm and cozy, wonderful holiday season, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!